I pledge.
I pledge.
I pledge.
I pledge.
I am an NCAA student athlete.
And I pledge to be a champion of unity
on my team, on my campus, and in my community.
I pledge to embrace differences and strive for inclusion and collaboration.
I pledge to stand against racism, hate, and discrimination.
I pledge to strive for love, care, and forgiveness.
I pledge to stand against silence, deceit, and obscurity.
I pledge to strive for dialogue, truth, and understanding.
I pledge to stand against fear and doubt.
I pledge to strive for trust and belief in one another.
I pledge to stand against complacency and stagnancy.
I pledge to strive for change and growth.
I commit to supporting my fellow student athletes in all circumstances that impact them.
I commit to both choosing unity personally and encouraging it for all.
I pledge these things because we are stronger together.
United as one.
For the win!
If a champion can teach us anything, it's to stay hungry, to keep our resolve, and to prepare for what's next. So to the players in the college sports community who never stop believing, the end goal is in sight. The ultimate rally. A comeback for all ages. For the fans, the teams, and most importantly, the players. Let's bring on the next champion. We're ready.
Dear college sports,
there's light at the end of the tunnel.
A return to normal and all we love about sports.
You've instilled resilience, focus, and selflessness in us. We've put those lessons to work.
We've found strength and unity in each other.
You continue to take us places we never imagined.
You bring out the best in us.
So when we look forward, we see the light at the end of the tunnel.
We see a better world for all of us
and for college sports.
Good afternoon and welcome back to Bryant Park in Greensboro. Today launches the round of 32 across the state of North Carolina here in the 2020 NCAA Women's Soccer Tournament. There are 3 undefeated teams remaining in the field, and we got one of them in the form of the South Florida Bulls, the other, the 7th seed, the Texas A&M Aggies. These two powerhouse programs set to go head-to-head for a spot in the Sweet 16. Alongside Sari Rose, former goalkeeper at Wake Forest, I'm Evan Lepler. It's a thrill to have you with us. We got a beautiful yet breezy day, Sarah. It's really gusting out there, and these two teams are going to have to adjust to not just each other, but also the conditions.
Well, exactly. I think it's something where it does look so beautiful outside that we're shocked, but every time that door opens in the press box, it's like a wind tunnel happening, and I think it's something that we'll see how the players are able. Are they going to try and take some more chances? Are the goalkeepers going to be able to react? Is the ball going to float a little bit? So I think we're going to see how that wind affects play and if players are going to take chances.
Let's review how these two teams have arrived at this point, starting with South Florida. They're undefeated, as we said, 10 wins, 2 draws, no losses. They were scoreless at the half in their first round game here on Tuesday, but a dominant second half over the Central Connecticut State Blue Devils gets Denise Schulte-Brown's team into the second round, and they arrive with confidence, Sari. They believe that they should have been in the top 16 heading into the tournament.
Well, they do. They have some depth on that team. We saw a number of subs that they were able to go to in that Central Connecticut State match, and I think they do. They feel very good about their chances coming into this match and are not going to back down.
Meanwhile, Texas A&M in their 26th consecutive NCAA tournament every single year since 1995. G. Guerreri has led the Aggies to the big dance, and he said, look, we may be number 7 right now, but that's not our goal. We want to be number 1. They recently knocked off an undefeated TCU team. What's the formula for the Aggies to knock off another undefeated team here in Greensboro today?
Well, Coach Guerreri loves his back line. He thinks he has one of the stronger back lines in the country, but he also has some powerful freshmen up top that are scoring goals and are just very, very dynamic. You've got number 10, Barbara Oliveri, who usually is wearing number 13 if you've watched them before, and then you also have number 15, Lainey Carroll, who's going to be probably one of the fastest players out there.
All right, the stage is set. The Aggies and Bulls meeting for the first time ever in women's soccer. And the players will take a knee before the opening kickoff here in Greensboro. This one of 16 round of 32 matches scheduled for this weekend in the state of North Carolina. There's a huge difference, Sari, between being in the final 16 and the final 32. And this is a game that both teams will remember forever. Here we go. South Florida in the black jerseys today. It has cooled off considerably from yesterday when it was in the mid-upper 80s. Today, a much more comfortable mid-upper 70s. And again, the wind will be swirling, and both teams will need to adjust to that. And Sydney Nasello, the star striker for USF, got hit in the side of the face right there and immediately shaken up. Her counterpart for Texas A&M, Taylor Pounds, was immediately concerned and almost signaled the official to stop play. Good thing that Sydney pops right back up.
Yeah, and I think Nasello is she's a tiny kid, but she's very strong, and you see her, she's able to take hits, she's able to play back to pressure, but she is huge for the Bulls.
Nasello goes down again right on the NCAA logo. Pounds in the mix. And Texas A&M flew up to North Carolina on Wednesday. They've been chomping at the bit since the brackets came out a week and a half ago now. Texas A&M coming off a 1-0 win over Texas Christian. But that was nearly 3 weeks ago, Sari. Shot over the bar and a goal kick coming out. Let's introduce the goalkeepers really quick. Sydney Martinez back defending the goal for South Florida. Started 12 matches this year, all of them for USF. And on the other end of the field, Kenna Caldwell Sophomore from Colorado, not the most experienced goalkeeper, but very athletic, and they appreciate what she has added to the team this year.
Well, and I think one of the things that Kenna Caldwell does well is she's consistent. And I think she's gained the respect of her team. And as you move into the tournament, it's a matter of who does your back line feel comfortable with. And we're going to see her. She can play a ball with her right and left foot. She's a former field player, so she's very comfortable with the ball at her feet, which adds confidence to that back line as well.
Playing the advantage as one of the sideline officials held up the flag. Another physical play right there. Sydney Nasello, accustomed to getting knocked around. Coach Denise Schulte-Brown telling us before Tuesday's match that opponents' main strategy against her has just been to foul her. And she kind of said it with a chuckle and also added, look, if I was going against her, that might be my strategy too. That's how dynamic and scary she can be if you don't get physical.
Well, it's something where, once again, you're looking at the size difference, but she is a player that we were just so impressed with against Central Connecticut State, being able to take 2 and 3 players on and find a way out of it.
Oliveri not going to get away with a little shove there. G. Guerreri didn't like it. She clearly had her arms on USF's Paula LeBleak, and Pete Mandel, the referee today, gives an early warning to the Texas A&M bench as if to say, enough, I don't want to hear it from you this afternoon.
And you're seeing Texas A&M, they're trying to press the Bulls. They want to make sure that they are pressing as high of the field as they can, make South Florida uncomfortable.
Nasello sending Lieblich. Unable to reconnect with Sydney Nasello, who has 6 goals and 5 assists on the season. Right on the edge of the 18. Controlled by Carlina Sample, the junior from Frisco, Texas. And up ahead, this will get Martinez, the Bulls goalkeeper, in the mix. Not exactly what she wanted to do, but you can see the wind playing tricks on that ball. Oliveri looking for some support, or she'll just do it all herself, puts it on frame. And an easy save for Martinez.
And Oliveri is one of those players that's so good on the ball. She's a U20 player for the Venezuelan national team. She's a kid that had a fantastic high school career and came in early to Texas A&M, and you're going to see her just be very, very dynamic and will drop into the midfield if she needs to. But here's Nasello. Once again, her ability with multiple players on.
Keeping her feet that time despite the physical defense from Katie Smith. And Smith the other way, deflected. It'll be an Aggies throw.
And that's something that we noticed against Central Connecticut State. Nasello can get the ball, she can beat players, but that final pass, she really struggled to connect with the Bulls. And it was a combination of them getting numbers in the box and her also maybe having that patience after all that hard work to connect.
Martinez touches it for Vivian Bissett. Bissett scoring a goal on Tuesday, her 3rd of the year, on a long-range missile. Just about 10 yards across midfield, and she had an absolute firecracker of a strike to extend the Bulls' second half lead. A&M looking for some offense. Deflection, Delaney Carroll trying to turn the corner, now getting physical. I was really impressed with Katie Kitching for USF on Tuesday, the senior from England, hard worker in the midfield for the Bulls.
Yeah, and I think one of the things is she's not afraid to defend as well as attack and do some of that dirty work.
Got a quick glimpse of the win there as you saw the flag rippling mightily. 6 minutes gone, first half, round of 32 action in the NCAA tournament. And A&M will have a throw deep in USF territory. Geksick throws it in. And USF defends it well. And an opportunity, but well played by Carlina Sample. Katie Smith will settle. Trying to connect with Carroll. And here's Macy Kolb. Beat a couple players off the dribble, but not a third. Ball finds Smith. And she goes down, and the official says play on.
Well, and this is something where can the Bulls be quick in transition, right? We have the entire Texas A&M team getting forward except for Sample and Colvin, and so can they look and try and find Nasello and spring her early in the attack?
Aggies earn the throw. And Martinez not even needing to pick it up quite yet. Keeping an eye on Lainey Carroll, number 15. She was going to make a little push. USF turns it over. But nicely done by Larson, taking it right back. Kind of a crosswind, but swirling that these two teams are dealing with. It's not exactly one team's going upwind and the other's going downwind. It's not that simple. Meanwhile, there's Sample connecting up front and a long-range shot. Martinez was out of position, and she may have been saved by a gust of wind that pushed that ball wide.
Well, what a heads-up play by Barbara Oliveri there. She's 1 versus 3, but she recognizes that Martinez is high off her line, and so she's just trying to put it up above. So a smart play. We'll see it again here, right? She's able to find that seam, cuts it for Dennis, and then just puts a little bit on it. But you're right, the wind caught it, and a little help from the environment for the Bulls there.
This is the type of wind, if even from midfield or 45 yards out, you put the ball in the vicinity of the goal and make the goalkeeper play the wind, that can wreak havoc on a goalkeeper's mentality. A&M sustaining possession in this end of the field. Zemer turned and her shot easily wide.
Well, and Zemer is such a professional player. She's a transfer from UVA, just a great soccer brain, but we're seeing her almost just trying to get rid of the ball too quick. She's trying to just do too much, and I think she needs to settle down a little and play the way she plays. She's brilliant at reading the game, but we've seen her kind of try things that haven't been on, and so maybe she's got to settle down a bit.
Lieblich connects with Nasello, and Nasello overran it but recovered. Taylor Zemer, not much of a foul considering some of the contact we've seen uncalled. Nasello, lots of space, but wanted to put some air under that ball and did not. Cheyenne Dennis heads it forward. Kiara Hahn back for Lucy Roberts, and now to the outside, it's Kitching.
One of the things the Bulls love to do, and we see it here on this opposite side if they can switch the point of attack, but they love Lieblich to get forward, and they want Lieblich and Nasello to see if they can't work some combinations and overload that side. So Texas A&M really wants to do a good job of keeping the ball on the other side, but here we see Dennis versus Oliveri.
A little bit of a tweener there. Martinez unable to come out and play it. A&M knew when the bracket came out that they would be facing an unbeaten team in their first tournament game, with both the Blue Devils of Central Connecticut State and the USF Bulls not losing at all during the abbreviated 2020-2021 spring regular season. A&M knew that they would face an undefeated team that was coming off a tournament win at this venue, that would be playing confidently. And in the case of USF, Sari, their last loss was in the tournament back in 2019, 523 days ago. Misplayed briefly. Nasello steals it away. Nicello, can she get a shot off? Testing the keeper, and Caldwell's bid puts the pressure on A&M. Corner kick coming up.
And you see how dangerous Nicello is, even when she's got several defenders in front of her. This will be a good test of the goalkeeper, right? We're talking about the wind. So right now, the Bulls are going to have to play this ball into the wind. So they're going to want to do a nice, hard-driven ball. Anything too high is just going to float. And you see the float
Finds
there.
Bissett, unable to put it on frame. Far closer to the goal than where she was when she scored on Tuesday. Twelve and a half minutes gone in the first half. The 7 seed in the tournament, Texas A&M, 11-3 on the season, facing a USF team that's now 10-0-2. The Bulls looking for their 11th win today to try to get to the Sweet 16. Free kick here for Kendall Bates. Just a sophomore, but already a leader on this A&M team that's very, very young. And her service over the head of Taylor Pounds and a goal kick.
Well, you talked about the youth of this A&M team. They're starting 5 freshmen, and the lone senior is just number 5, Taylor Zemer.
You mentioned Zemer's professional caliber of play. Not a pro yet, but pretty soon she will be, and comes from a family of soccer pros. Dad, the head men's coach at Sonoma State. Mom, a club coach at Santa Rosa United. As G. Guerreri put it, she comes from a soccer mafia family. Switching fields for Kitching. Smooth settle and finding Wagner. Hahn turns it over. Pounds intercepts and unable to connect with Carroll. Looking forward. How about Cheyenne Dennis playing out wide early today, Sari? Has been a central defender for the Bulls.
Well, I think, we're seeing Lieblich getting so high up in the field, which is pulling Dennis out to that wide position.
Nicello had her hands on Pounds and was called for it. Yeah, you're right. That's what it is. We see Lieblich retreating.
Well, and it's very much like the game we're going to see later this afternoon, where South Alabama has Tilly Wilkes, the left back. That's also their most dangerous player in the attack because of how she gets forward. And so, we've talked about the Lieblich-Nicello combination, and here's Lieblich getting high and a great run in.
Yep, covering a lot of ground. In front, the pass just slightly behind the target.
Poor Solveig Larson has 3 assists on the season but has yet to score, and Denise Schulte-Brown just talks about how it's just unfortunate. She'll have a fantastic shot, hits off of the post, bombs the ball, great save by the keeper, and just there's some sort of juju out there that is preventing her from getting that ball in the back of the net, and so they're hoping that she'll be able to open it up now that it's tournament time.
Maybe today is the day for Larson's breakthrough moment. Nicello to Wagner, supported by Kitching. Texas A&M on the counterattack. Carroll ahead, the flag is up. Oliveri offside.
Well, and Texas A&M is so dangerous in transition because of the speed of Lainey Carroll and Barbara Oliveri.
Both these teams playing for the right to keep their season going into May, which is an absurd phrase if you've been part of the soccer world for a long time. I guess May is the equivalent of December, except it's considerably nicer out.
Good job there by Hahn.
Making a run. Sample taken out, and Lieblich denied by Sample again.
And we've seen both players lose their footing yesterday in the Monmouth Bowling Green match. Same thing happened. The teams actually asked for the field to be watered earlier today so that it wouldn't be sticky come game time. If you can hear, the entire Texas A&M team is chanting along the sideline. I think when you become an athlete at Texas A&M, it's almost like, you know how you have double majors in college?
Yeah.
You become a dual sport athlete with whatever sport you're playing and cheerleading, because they have so many of their famous chants. They love the 12th man. And they are just
in all sports
cheering all game long. You feel like it's maybe a softball match. Softball game.
Great athletics atmosphere in College Station, no doubt about it.
Was telling G. Guerreri when we were talking how several years ago, I think it was right when they switched from the Big 12 to the SEC, I was down there for a game against Long Beach State, and it was the first game of them in the SEC, and it was college game day, and so I stayed up until midnight to go into the football stadium and experience their midnight, cheers and everything, and it was just a fantastic experience and just a terrific environment if you're a student athlete.
Another bad turnover here for the Aggies, and Nasello launches from long range but won't challenge Caldwell too much. In the 20th minute, no score. Aggies and Bulls, first ever meeting between these two schools in women's soccer. And that looked like it was handballed down by Oliveri.
And the AR had the flag up, it looks like.
I think they called the handball after the fact.
Just so everybody's aware, the amazing production crew here, Turbo Sports, does have a camera down with the fourth official, so if we need to have
You mean a monitor?
Monitor. If we need to have a review, we are able to do so.
Oh, we're not rooting for that.
No. I feel like the Twitterverse is just fuming with people who hate VAR and any sort of replay.
Speaking personally, not for the entire world of social media, I like review if it can be done quickly and efficiently. And if it can't, it's not worth its weight for relatively meaningless calls early in a game.
Exactly.
I think we can agree that that's a rational take.
Evan, I think we agree on a lot of things.
With Sari Rose, Evan Lepler, your pilots for this round of 32 match here at Bryant Park, and an opportunity brewing for Macy Cole, but she cannot get there. It was deflected, though, and will be a corner kick for the Aggies. Texas A&M, North Carolina, Virginia, and Penn State. Those are the only four schools that have been in every women's soccer tournament since 1995. Sari, what were you doing in 1995?
In the 1995 was my sophomore year at Wake Forest. I actually can remember when Notre Dame beat Carolina for their first loss in I don't know how many years. I was coming back from a dorm at Wake Forest, and we were listening to it because back then you didn't have social media, and it was just
what a ball.
A rumor.
Kitching in pursuit. Caldwell racing back along with the Aggies defense. Kitching sends it to no one on the right flank. That was as good of a goalkeeper assist as I've seen in a long time. Sidney Martinez with a vision to punt it perfectly across midfield for Kitching, and just one pass too many. Got to pull the trigger there.
Well, and you either have to shoot or you have to play that ball forward into your partner running in. Anything behind is just going to kill the play, and we saw it happen like that.
And this will be a stoppage. Pete Mandel reaches into his pocket for the first time and issues the first yellow card of the match.
And that's Oliveri down on the ground, the freshman, getting a little bit of knock from Hahn.
It's Bissett who will receive the yellow.
The Bulls uniforms are really neat, but they are also very hard to see with the light and the shading of the green and yellow.
Battling the wind, Martinez able to make the catch.
Well, and you can see the footwork of Martinez just holding her place, trying to make sure that the ball doesn't go over her head. I think in this instance, I think the term that we would use as a goalkeeper coach is late but quick. You want to hold, make sure you can read it well, and then you want to attack the ball.
Nasello trying to turn the corner again. Sample intercepts. Dennis Muñoz Gonzalez. And here's Wagner. Typically leads the team in touches. Sabrina Wagner, senior from Florida, one of the 13 Floridians on the USF roster. There are also 7 Canadians, 2 players from England, 2 players from Spain, and 1 each from Virginia, Texas, Pennsylvania, New York, New Jersey, Georgia, Germany, and Iceland. Iceland is certainly on the bucket list to get to Reykjavik sometime in my life.
Well, I think once again, we talked about just the recruiting habit when you're at a school at USF who's invested a ton in their athletics. One, you have a great recruiting environment, but you're bringing in Shilty Brown and Chris Brown, Shilty Brown is from Canada and her husband Chris is English, I believe, and they both had to look internationally when they were at VCU, and so they've brought those same tactics to USF because the state of Florida has such a terrific number of soccer schools that you've got to go new places and find kids in different areas.
You ever been to Iceland?
I have not. Although I am planning on going to the Women's World Cup in New Zealand and Australia.
Wow.
It's my present to myself. I might bring my family. I might.
You get time to think about it. Sounds like a great time with or without him. Well out of her goal. Sidney Martinez finds Dennis. Just a slight missed touch there by Lieblich, but a turnover and certainly some body contact. Nasello plays through. It looked like everybody was expecting a whistle. From long range, Nasello. Saved by Caldwell.
We're definitely seeing the Bulls dominating offensive opportunities so far. I think part of that has been their midfield has been able to get a little bit better control and then being able to switch and find Lieblich and Nasello.
The counter is that literally Texas A&M has been dangerous with the counter.
Exactly. Very direct right now. I don't think they've really been able to get a hold of the ball. They were concerned because USF is such a possession team that they wanted to break it up and kind of put them on their heels, and I don't think they've been successful with that as of yet.
Lieblich unsuccessful there, looking to connect with the Icelandic forward Solveig Larsson.
You talked to G. Guerreri, and he was saying how they needed to possess, they needed to make the Bulls chase, and I think we've seen the opposite so far.
Well, the other big difference from the time of year, I mean, Texas A&M, the perennial tournament team, they're used to having their first 1, 2, 3 tournament games at home.
Yep.
And playing in front of their home crowd, very successful track record doing just that.
And
this is better than true road games, but it's certainly a different thing. And you mentioned the bench trying to generate some of that energy to simulate what it's like playing in College Station. Nasello went charging through there, and Caldwell misplayed it ever so slightly. And it will be a corner kick.
And you bring up a great point. Coach Guerreri was saying that, like, when they travel, they don't have that hype. They don't have that environment. And he was a little concerned about whether or not Bryant Park, would have that atmosphere and energy because of the fact it is a second-round game, COVID environment, limited fans. So we'll see how they react here. It's a short corner by the Bulls.
Nasello dribbles on the end line. This will be a goal kick, though. So the A&M defense handled it well, and we remain scoreless. Neither bench all that pleased by what just transpired. It will be a free kick for the Bulls. Vivian Bissett, grad student from Montreal, takes it, and then Dennis got tripped up. And this might be a card on Oliveri. The mask is on, and the message is given without the yellow. It's an interesting choice in a variety of ways.
A firm mask talking to.
Yes. A year and a half ago in the 2019 NCAA tournament, what an absurd phrase that would have been.
I would say it's probably written down somewhere in a list of rules and approaches and how you go about speaking to a player. Section 15-2.6.9.
Part D.
Part D.
Well, that's a turnover there, giving Texas A&M an opportunity to push everybody up. Of course, Texas A&M lost a couple of their key players. Two of their top stars decided to go pro. Addie McCain and Jimena Lopez. The SEC midfielder and defender of the year, respectively. So you lose those two, and then you enter the tournament in the spring. Basically an average age of about 19 years old. We talked about the slew of freshmen and sophomores in the starting lineup for veteran coach G. Guerreri, who's just had a ridiculous amount of success as the leader building this program from scratch.
Well, and not only that, they only had 6 matches scheduled this spring and only got to play 5 of them. So, limited opportunities, having to interchange personnel. Even though Lopez was a back, she was in the top 3 in scoring for the Aggies.
Look out. Jai Smith. Not all that much sauce on that shot, partially blocked by Kiara Hahn. No score in just over 30 minutes of soccer. Sari, the winner of this match takes on the winner of the match that we have later tonight. 7 o'clock start between the Cowgirls of Oklahoma State and the Jaguars of South Alabama. USA knocking off Colorado here at Bryant Park on Tuesday. And certainly one of the fun wrinkles of our nightcap is the coach of Oklahoma State, Colin Carmichael, is a Jaguar alum. He played his college soccer at South Alabama and now goes against him for a spot in the Sweet 16. So that's a little juicy tidbit that we'll explore more later this evening.
The sports information director for South Alabama was very eager with some old pictures of Colin and also Karen, who was also an assistant there years ago. But
did you ever go against your alma mater when you were coaching elsewhere in college soccer? Not sure you did. Martinez makes the play.
Actually, I don't believe we ever did.
So you never had to deal with this emotional distress that Coach Carmichael is presumably contemplating all afternoon.
The year after I left Charlotte, they went up to the Wake tournament and played.
So you knew everybody, but you weren't coaching at the time.
Exactly.
Mandel says play on. And here comes Hahn. Trying to thread the pass through, but Macy Kolb there defensively. Nasello knocks it away. Both players stumble. We continue with an Aggies throw.
And you just see the engine on Nasello. She doesn't give up, right? She's clearly, outsized against the Aggies, but her fight is just tremendous. And Solveig Larson is coming out, and they're going to have Sarita Thurton, number 14, come in up top, a player that had a goal and an assist on the season so far.
And gave the Bulls a spark, energy-wise, on Tuesday against the Blue Devils.
Yeah, she buzzes around, works hard for those minutes. She's played in every game thus far.
Martinez needs some help. Well played. Dennis. Sari, from your college soccer and tournament experience, when you've had a team that played on Tuesday and one that has had almost 3 weeks off, at what point in the game, if at all, will you start to look for signs of fatigue from USF, and how will they conquer and overcome that?
Well, I think it's one thing, they do go to their bench. They did a great job on the game on Tuesday of basically clearing the bench all but one player. And so I think it's something where they definitely were managing once they realized that game was in hand. And I think we'll see that some. The other thing is they're used to hot weather. They're used to this. So I don't think it'll be too big of a factor. But it's definitely something we'll see probably midway through that second half. How are their legs? How are they doing? I think the big thing, maybe more of, and here's Thurton trying to get on, but it looks like Sample has that easy. The big thing, I think, is the physicality, right? So you always look at basketball players and the people under the post, and how hard it is to kind of just bang in. And so I think it'll be
the beating.
Yep, I think it'll be interesting to see how Nasello does with that. She's done it all year long, but, is that something that her and Lieblich can handle over the time? And I am very much impressed with Nasello. You see her dropping all the way back to get the ball. I think Moynia and Wagner have also done a tremendous job in the midfield thus far, and now we've seen Megan Kavanaugh sub in for Wagner. No, sorry, not Wagner. Kitching, I believe.
I think Katie's getting a breather. You're right. Meanwhile, here is Nasello. Electric, creative elusive. Back for Dennis. Nicely done angling that pass for Wagner. And she'll retreat to Bissett.
And we're seeing Hahn really high up on the field. A lot of movement by the Bulls, trying to find spaces.
What do you think of this high pressure A&M is putting on?
I think right now they're a little bit stretched. They've got one person kind of running, and the rest of the team has to stay connected to that. You know, clearly something that Coach G is going to talk about at halftime is just making sure that they have two players every time Nacella gets the ball, and they're very, very aware of where she is on the field, but also making sure that they get cover there quickly.
Bissett's the only Bull back. And she didn't exactly do what she wanted to with that. And then the ensuing play yields a free kick for the Aggies. And a quick restart, but it was blocked by Lieblich, and she was a little too close to do that.
And a non-mask talking to in that instance.
It wasn't exactly premeditated the way. It was more of a spontaneous discussion. Talking to reminder.
We haven't seen the finger point, though, or the finger wag
Well,
yet.
Early in the game, we saw it to the bench.
Oh, we did?
Yeah.
Okay. Which is always a nice combination. Martina is definitely taking the breath away on some of these balls she's playing out of the back.
She's had to be precise, and she has been. Sample trying to create something, but intercepted easily by Roberts. And the foul called on Zemer. Taking out Hahn from behind, quickly restarted. Muino Gonzalez. That pass toward the far side flank just has not been there for the Bulls all half long.
I think what's happening is just the wind is sort of getting it, and it's just being struck a whole lot harder than they think it is.
It's impossible for us to truly explain how impactful the wind is being on this game for those of you watching at home. It is gusting viciously outside, like knock you over type wind in gusts. We are inside an enclosed press box, which is good news for all of our papers, because otherwise we would not be able to have multiple papers out unless they were bouldered down. Free kick for Bissett coming up here just across midfield. And, I mean, this is the type of shot, well, she could put it on frame. Instead, she restarts quickly to Nacella, and she'll chip it toward the middle. It got to the target, but mishit on the first touch.
And as we look at some scores around North Carolina, we see that Iowa is up 1-0 versus the number 3 UCLA, with a little bit of an upset possibly in the making.
Iowa won a first-round game on Tuesday over Campbell, trying to make it 2 wins in a week in Buies Creek, North Carolina.
And just an interesting match. Iowa, 3 minutes in or so, plays it off, and it was a Campbell own goal. Campbell just not able to recover from that, but the Campbell coach, Samara Zem, doing a terrific job with the fighting camels of Campbell.
They are not polite camels.
No.
They are feisty, fighting camels.
Fighting, spitting.
I think camels do have a propensity to spit, but they are not officially the spitting camels. Anyway. Under 5 minutes to play in the half. A&M and USF, and an opportunity here. There have been a bunch of opportunities. Neither goalkeeper has been overly tested. Perhaps that's about to change, though. Corner kick here for A&M.
Starting to get a little bit punchy in the press box here and turning into the Ocho. Gonna have to make another Mike Wazowski comment.
It's a bold strategy, Sari. See how it works out for you. 4 minutes to go. And the A&M corner. Chipped in front, headed and saved again. Oh, Cindy Martinez was out of position and her teammates bailed her out not once but twice.
She owes dinner to a couple of the players on the back line. We talked about with the wind being careful, go late but quick, and we saw her leave early and the ball just came over, but two fantastic back saves. And I'm sure there's going to be hugs at halftime when she walks off the field for those efforts.
Missed hit on that cross. Well, still scoreless. A&M with a couple opportunities there, arguably their top two opportunities of the half. Now USF looks to counter, but the pass to Nasello picked off by Smith. Pounds. Trying to sneak it through to Jai Smith. Nothing doing. Certainly space behind the A&M defense right now to make a run, but you know, those long passes, it's hard to really laser them in there perfectly because of the wind, among other things. Really, Sari, perhaps the best pass of the half was Sydney Martinez's punt to Katie Kitching, more than half the length of the field.
Yeah, definitely a heads-up play by the Bulls goalkeeper.
Fun to watch Nasello hit the turbo button, isn't it?
Yeah, and Schulte Brown said that she thought that she was one of the top forwards in the country. You know, it's this time of year where, you know, not only is the NCAA tournament going on, but we're looking at our youth national teams, which the U23 is considered part of the youth national team, and Nasella's in that age group to get looked at among some other players.
She's worth a long look. Sample booms that one near the midfield. Clearly hit Lieblick's hand, but they'll play the advantage if it was going to be called anyway. And here's Taylor Zemer, the only senior on the Aggies roster in the round of 32 of the tournament with the left foot. It's high and wide and will be a goal kick.
And Allie Russell just looking like she was struggling to get into the play there. I'm not sure if she's running against the wind, but Zemer was a little bit on her own there. Need to have some more support as she's making that run.
After Zemer's miss, we're now under 1 minute to play in the opening half at McPherson Stadium, part of the Bryan Park Soccer Complex in Greensboro. You can hear the wind whistling.
And the city of Greensboro, along with the NC Fusion Soccer Club, have just done a terrific job with the setup of the field and the environment here, especially given all of the COVID protocols.
It's kind of miraculous that we're here playing a soccer tournament at the national level. It feels good to be watching, that's for sure. Final 10 seconds of the half. Can Jai Smith create anything? It's going in the wrong direction to do so, and that'll take us to the half. Opportunities for both teams, but nothing on the score sheet. Aggies and Bulls 0-0. 45 minutes gone. Sari, your quick first half thoughts are?
Well, I think the Bulls have done a tremendous job of keeping possession, and their movement off the ball and on the ball has been fantastic to get a number of opportunities. They've got to be better in the final third and trying to get that ball into the box and on goal. And I think the Aggies have to be more dynamic, and they were successful when they were pressing early on, and then that dropped off as the half went on.
Aggies have generated some good offense from counterattacks, but haven't really sustained an offensive possession on USF's side of the field. Imagine both coaches will talk about those things, among others. We'll take a break from talking and be back with you for the second half from Greensboro in about 15 minutes. A&M and South Florida scoreless at the half.
I pledge.
I pledge.
I pledge.
I pledge.
I am an NCAA student athlete.
And I pledge to be a champion of unity
On my team, on my campus, and in my community.
I pledge to embrace differences and strive for inclusion and collaboration.
I pledge to stand against racism, hate, and discrimination.
I pledge to strive for love, care, and forgiveness.
I pledge to stand against silence, deceit, and obscurity.
I pledge to strive for dialogue, truth, and understanding.
I pledge to stand against fear and doubt.
I pledge to strive for trust and belief in one another.
I pledge to stand against complacency and stagnancy.
I pledge to strive for change and growth.
I commit to supporting my fellow student athletes in all circumstances that impact them.
I commit to both choosing unity personally and encouraging it for all.
I pledge these things because we are stronger together.
United as one.
For the win!
If a champion can teach us anything, it's to stay hungry, to keep our resolve, and to prepare for what's next. So to the players in the college sports community who never stop believing, the end goal is in sight. The ultimate rally. A comeback for all ages. For the fans, the teams, and most importantly, the players. Let's bring on the next champion. We're ready.
Dear college sports,
there's light at the end of the tunnel.
A return to normal, and all we love about sports.
You've instilled resilience, focus, and selflessness in us. We've put those lessons to work.
We've found strength and unity in each other.
You continue to take us places we never imagined.
You bring out the best in us.
So when we look forward, we see the light at the end of the tunnel.
We see a better world for all of us.
And for college sports.
I pledge.
I pledge.
I pledge.
I am an NCAA student athlete.
And I pledge to be a champion of unity
on my team, on my campus, and in my community.
I pledge to embrace differences and strive for inclusion and collaboration.
I pledge to stand against racism, hate, and discrimination.
I pledge to strive for love, care, and forgiveness.
I pledge to stand against silence, deceit, and obscurity.
I pledge to strive for dialogue, truth, and understanding.
I pledge to stand against fear and doubt.
I pledge to strive for trust and belief in one another.
I pledge to stand against complacency and stagnancy.
I pledge to strive for change and growth.
I commit to supporting my fellow student athletes in all circumstances that impact them.
I commit to both choosing unity personally and encouraging it for all.
I pledge these things because we are stronger together.
United as one.
For the win!
If a champion can teach us anything, it's to stay hungry, to keep our resolve, and to prepare for what's next. So to the players in the college sports community who never stop believing, the end goal is in sight, the ultimate rally. A comeback for all ages. For the fans, the teams, and most importantly, the players. Let's bring on the next champion. We're ready.
Dear college sports,
there's light at the end of the tunnel.
A return to normal, and all we love about sports.
You've instilled resilience, focus, and selflessness in us. We've put those lessons to work.
We've found strength and unity in each other.
You continue to take us places we never imagined.
You bring out the best in us.
So when we look forward, we see the light at the end of the tunnel.
We see a better world for all of us.
And for college sports.
Moments away from the start of the second half here in Greensboro, we welcome you back to McPherson Stadium at Bryant Park. Texas A&M and USF scoreless at halftime. Officially on the stat sheet, the Aggies out shooting the Bulls 9-4. Each team's had a couple corner kick opportunities. 14 total fouls in the first half, 9 of which were committed by Texas A&M. And Sidney Martinez has been credited with 5 saves in the net for the Bulls to keep this game even and scoreless. Sarah, what are your keys for each team for the second half?
Well, I think in some ways the Bulls are just knocking on the door, and a nice long ball over into Nasello I think will find her being able to get on the end of it. But like I said, they've got to be a little more precise in that final third because they're getting in there. They just haven't really been able to make much of it. At the same time, I think the Aggies have to step up, right? They need to pressure the ball. They need to depossess the Bulls. And then same thing, they've had some success with that long ball into Oliveri or into Carroll. Remember, they want to use Carroll's speed and Oliveri's speed as well.
Katie Kitching back in the game. He played 28 of the first 45 minutes. Nasello crosses in front. Headed downward, not out, but boomed away by Taylor Pounds. According to my weather app, Sari, wind is around 15 to 20 miles an hour with gusts of 35.
Well, it's definitely one of the first things people are talking about. I walked across the concourse at half, and the first thing the UNCG women's assistant coach said, "Wow, it's a windy day, huh?" And I think it's something, like we said, it plays into, you saw Martinez coming out early and the wind kind of took it and then misplayed that.
As a former goalkeeper, would you rather play on a really windy day or a really cold day or a really wet day?
I was waiting for you to say a rainy day. You know, I think it's one of those things when it's cold, you can kind of do your little movements to stay warm. I grew up in New Jersey, and I can remember.
You're doing the movements now.
I know.
I appreciate it. As a broadcaster, you do them too.
I can remember, and we see play here in front of the Aggie goal.
Long range rebound saved by Caldwell. Laser from Hahn.
And she's been effective drilling that ball in from wide as well. But yeah, I think it's something where you can stay warm. You can always change out your gloves at half. The rain is difficult, but you also can be smart about getting your hands behind the ball, making sure the ball drops down, stuff like that. But the wind is just, especially the wind today, right? If the wind's coming and you know how it's coming, then you know how to delay or you know how to come out a little bit quicker. But the fact that it's sort of swirling makes it really hard because it's not only on high balls, but also balls that are floated in, shots, etc. Yeah, so I'm going to say I would take cold, then rain, and then swirling wind. Tsunami would be fourth.
So you're delighted to be in the booth today instead of on the field.
Now that we have the door shut, so it's not trying to catch papers as they're flying around.
Bissett trying to ward off Oliveri there, and Dennis pressured. Ball finds Bissett. She'll send it over to Roberts. Pressure coming. Bulls turn it over. Geksick taken down, and a penalty is coming up for A&M.
And we talked about how effective the Aggies were when they were pressing that back line, and we see the ball getting coughed up and Geksick getting on the end of it. I'd love to see that foul again because wasn't sure if it was a little bit late and she got tripped up here or if she just, the sweeping of the foot got her.
One thing to note, penalty kicks have not been automatic this year for A&M. They're 2 for 4. Oliveri, who has not taken one yet, lines this one up. A&M looking to strike first, and Oliveri buries it. 1-0 Aggies. Leaving no doubt the freshman from Katy, Texas, with a blast.
And we'll see the replay on that. It looks like it was just wide of center. but well struck, hard. And Martinez just not able to get anything on it. Yeah, just high and hard, and Martinez couldn't make the save.
7th goal of the season for Oliveri. She's the leading scorer, despite not taking any of the previous penalty attempts. And USF finds itself trailing in the tournament for the first time. And just something of a careless turnover. Credit Lauren Geksick with the pressure to draw the foul. But beyond Geksick's effort, kind of a poor giveaway for USF. Another opportunity brewing here, and Martinez forced to pounce.
And I think we want to see that pressure from the Aggies. We want to see if they can put the back line of the Bulls under pressure. We also want to see if we can get Lainey Carroll and Barbara Oliveria working together more. One of the things that Coach G had said was that they're a great tandem up top and they work well off of each other, but we haven't really seen much of that until that last play there.
You have to dig pretty deep into the caverns of Google to figure out Coach Guerri's actual first name, because he's just gone by G his entire professional career. His full name is actually Gerald Garnett Guerrieri. GGG is his monogram, but he's been G his whole life. He has a bunch of family members that were also GGGs, so carrying on that family tradition. And when you're as successful as you've been with 26 straight tournaments, and you've been at a place where you literally started the program and have been the architect of all of its success, you can go by G.
And I think not only is he a terrific coach, but he's also just a fantastic human being. You know, you're talking to him about the game and how, you know, he's on a committee to look at, like, how has this season been, right? So we've had a 2-semester soccer season. Does it work? The Division I men were very much adamant about wanting to have a 2-semester season, number of committee meetings, but what we're seeing with this 2-semester season is really interesting, right? Because when you're looking at the professional draft, Texas A&M has lost 2 players to December. We've seen a number of the men's teams losing players to December graduations or drafts. But the bonus is the coaches have loved that extra time, not having that extended preseason of 6 weeks, having only 1 game a week or even a game every other week.
We've heard several coaches say it's been great for development, skill building.
Development and also injuries. You know, what happens a lot of times is these players come in and they have this intensive 2-a-day preseason, and then they get a little banged up, they get a little knocked up, but then the season starts and then it's just go, go, go. And so there's not that recovery. There's not that opportunity to give your body a chance to heal.
Certainly more time for recovery, trying to keep folks healthy. USF in search of the equalizer, but Kitching's pass deflected.
Just not enough weight on that to find Nacella. With all that we know about sports medicine and the development of sports science, you know, making it easier on these players as athletes and what they have to do. I mean, I can remember in dating myself, but it was the 3-a-days, and it was like, holy, 3-a-days. You went in the morning.
How early?
Just depended. Once again, you know, if you have a men's team, what other people are doing. And then it was sort of your afternoon session might be, you know, looking at film, talking, some sort of team building, and then in the evening you were playing. Coming down from Jersey and having to have August summer in North Carolina was absolutely brutal.
Pass just a little bit behind Lainey Carroll right there. Dennis will bring it out. You know, a year ago, or really over the past few seasons, if USF was down a goal, they had someone like Evelyn Vienne, who set a program record with 25 goals last year, and she was often the target. They don't have her. They got the marvelous creator in Sydney Nacello and Solveig Larson, who's still looking for that breakthrough moment. Sending Nacello trying to cut it back on the edge of the box. Nasello keeps going. Nasello crosses in front, but nobody there to put it home. USF still threatening.
It's amazing. You see all the work that she does to get in line, to possess the ball. But that final pass, she just has not been able to really find anybody on it.
Well, she had 10 assists a year ago, and many of them to the end. In some ways, it's incredible the Bulls have had as marvelous as a season as they've had, considering they lose a score like that from long range and just over the bar, testing Caldwell. Began the 5th overall pick in the 2020 NWSL draft. Of course, Texas A&M has had so many great players go on to the professional ranks. When you look at the A&M website, you see the blast over the bar here. Great video. Shea Groom talking about her time in College Station. Here comes Taylor Pounds, chipping it forward, onside, taking it past Martinez. Carroll thwarted away by the defensive push, but A&M persevering to try and double its lead. Here's Geksick. And she's taken down. Free kick coming for A&M. Mentioned Shea Groom, one of the great players for the Aggies. Comes from a great athletic family. I've actually gotten to know Shea's sister, Cammie, who's one of the best ultimate frisbee players in the world. Has been on U.S. national teams. Cammie, who's literally one of the best women's ultimate players in the world, says she's the worst athlete in her family because her sister's Shea Groom and her parents were college athletes too. Martinez in front, can't control it. A&M goes down to the box and the official says play on.
Oliveri not able to get the call on the Bassett takedown there. And as we look at scores around the horn, you've got North Carolina is now up 1-0 on Denver, and Iowa is still up on UCLA.
Round of 32 action in the 2020 women's tournament. Every time I say it, it still seems bizarre to call it the 2020 tournament when it's almost May of 2021. But I suppose we got to preserve the 2021 tournament for this November.
2021A and 2021B.
Right. Like having the Masters in golf 5 months apart from each other. Last November and again in early April. It's a good ball. Good vision by Zemer, catching Kolb on the outside. Bates with a support. Kendall Bates chips it in. Bassett gets a piece. Pounds takes out her counterpart, but we play on to the dismay of Muñoz Gonzalez. Muñoz Gonzalez gave a little shoulder at Taylor Pounds. Said, I feel you. Feel me.
Well, and I don't think we've really seen much from the Aggies midfield. I really think that Gonzalez and Hahn and Wagner have dominated the midfield play. You know, you look at Texas A&M in the fall, they played a 4-4-2, the Brazilian box midfield, and they had Lopez and they had McCain, and now they've adjusted and are playing as a 3-5-2. And so it's a little bit different. I don't think they're getting as much of a punch in the attack as they had in the fall.
Yeah, he said, well, they played the 4-4-2 in the fall because they had the best left back in the country in Jimena Lopez and the great right back in Macy Cole, both with unbelievable work rates that enabled them to put more people in the midfield to control games. Also highlighted their center backs, which Guerreri said were arguably the two best center backs in their conference. Collision takes out a pair at midfield. It's going A&M's way, and we're going to get a clock stoppage as Oliveri slow to get up, as is Larson.
And Oliveri came in hard, but Larson just came in a little late, it looks like. And you see here, she steps in, and then Larson.
I think it was it Roberts or Larson? Yeah, it was Roberts.
I'm sorry.
No, I made the mistake. You don't need to apologize.
Following your lead. Come on, Evan. You're better than this.
It's true. We all make mistakes, though. We move on to forget about them. Here comes USF trying to forget about their mistake, giving up the PK. See if they can do it. Making a run, Megan Kavanaugh. And there's a player going down to the box. And she was too busy calling for the foul to realize that the ball was still between her legs. Can understand wanting the whistle, but missed an opportunity there. Mourinho Gonzalez. That ball may have hit off the arm of Katie Smith. Plenty of time for Kavanaugh. Chipping it to the edge of the box. Settled, but not on goal. And a missed chance there for the Bulls.
And Hahn not afraid to play the volley. And it's Nacella who gets the foul, and
what do you think
sort
about
of
this?
Holding her ankle, looking around, just in shock that she didn't get the call. But while she's doing that, the play continues.
She literally had the ball on her foot 10 yards from the goal. Kavanaugh gets a piece of it, kind of a tweener. Caldwell not sure what to do, and
good job though by Carlina Sample using her body to just shield the Bulls attacker off of it.
They don't really call obstruction anymore, do they?
They might. Has to be fairly obvious.
That wasn't fairly obvious? That wasn't, I mean,
well, I mean,
not by the standards
shoulder.
of modern soccer, but she certainly obstructed and didn't make a play on the ball. Her play was to get in the way. I'm not saying it should have been called, but half an hour to go. It's like to push the envelope, create some conversation. And reinforce the notion that you are the soccer expert, and I am here as the novice to ask you the questions. Long-range blast, dangerously close to Kenna Caldwell's goal, but it will be a goal kick.
Solveig Larson just can't seem to break open the net. I saw her after the game, and she was fairly emphatic about her desire to also score in this match.
Well, most of the other foreigners on her team scored on Tuesday.
3 goals, all by foreigners.
Yeah, 1 Canadian, 1 Spaniard, and 1 German. Accounting for the USF offense and the win over Central Connecticut State on Tuesday. Ending the Bulls season, CCSU was one of the 6 undefeated teams in the NCAA tournament before they fell on Tuesday. Other undefeated teams that lost, the Siena Saints losing to Arizona State, and the Furman Paladins saw their perfect season end against the Rice Owls. Rice, by the way, the only team to beat Texas A&M this spring. Kavanaugh there defensively, got all ball.
And Kavanaugh's done a fantastic job in the midfield on both sides, both defensively, and then she also was the one that was aware enough when the ball got caught between Nacella to try and get on and continue the play.
You know, there is one team this season, Sari, that will finish the year undefeated that did not get a spot in the tournament. Mentioned it on Tuesday. The Jackrabbits of South Dakota State finished their season 12 wins, no losses, 5 draws. And one of those draws was a loss in penalty kicks to Omaha in the Summit League semifinals. And their resume according to the committee, did not merit one of the coveted 48 slots in the women's field. You know, if it was a 64-team field like it often is, maybe the Jackrabbits get a chance to extend their unbeaten season. I'm sure they'd rather be playing in the tournament, but at least they can say, hey, we never lost that entire season.
Well, and I think you bring up a good point with the smaller tournament teams that would normally get an at-large bid or would be contending for it, just didn't have those options. Usually you can have 6-7 teams from the ACC. We just didn't see that as much. NC State actually had opted out of playing in the fall at all, just due to the fact that they had a number of international players that couldn't get in and injuries, and he just didn't want to subject his team to, you know, just a battle-torn season.
Thurton gets it ahead for Kavanaugh, who's really been all over the field. Needs some help, needs some support. Gets it right back. Hahn to Dennis. Trying to switch the fields here. The set will do just that. Roberts. Good ball ahead, Nasello. Turns it forward. Sydney Nasello maintains possession. Can she pull the trigger? She'll switch it. Muñoz Gonzalez.
Going against Kolb, who is one of the best defenders, but we've seen her in the midfield all game.
And Thurton was offside. Kind of a careless play there to not recognize the alignment of the field. USF had the ball in a pretty good spot there and just gave it away.
Yeah. And you saw them attacking and then actually pulled it back out to try and create a service. And so just sometimes that mental mistake is costly.
And now A&M will try to turn it the other way. Pounds. Carroll making a run, showing the speed. Bursts around Roberts for the ball. Lainey Carroll crosses into the box, and A&M leads by 2. Oliveri puts it home for the Aggies.
Well, we talked about the speed of the forwards up top, and it was something where we know she's got pace. The Bulls defender tried to do a good job of getting her shoulder on, but couldn't even catch her. And then you just see her accelerate, and we're going to see it here. She gets on the end of that ball. You see Roberts trying to shoulder her and just can't, and then just puts it on a platter, and a fantastic run by Oliveri, and composed in the box to just pass it back the way it came. And little that Martinez could do to probably make that save.
Lainey Carroll regarded as the fastest player on the 2020 Texas A&M Aggies, and her speed on display. But not just the speed, her work rate and her ability to be dangerous around the goal. Oliveri the assist. I beg your pardon. Carroll the assist. Oliveri with her second goal of the day. First on a PK, and this one makes it 2-0. So USF with a even taller task. The Bulls had only allowed 4 goals all season in their 12 games. Coming into today, find themselves down 2 with 24 minutes and change to play. Here's Nasello. If USF's going to have any chance, you feel they need a quick answer here. And every time Sydney Nasello gets the ball, you think something could happen. But as you've reiterated a couple times, Sari, the connection after her creative move just hasn't been there.
Exactly, and like we said, their ability to finish in that final third. We did see 3 goals, all from sort of well, one was on a corner kick, but once again, their ability to get on the end of Nasello, and Nasello to pick out a player. She's put some good balls in, but hasn't had numbers, and so just hasn't been rewarded for all of her effort.
This will be a goal kick. Mentioned it before, winner of this match gets the winner of our match this evening here at Bryant Park, Oklahoma State and South Alabama. Survivor of this quartet would battle the team that arrives out of the North Carolina section, Tar Heels number 2. St. Louis Billikens, the 15 seed, also in that bracket, facing Washington later this evening. Those games at the Matthews Sportsplex just outside of Charlotte. Busy few weeks of soccer in the Old North State. Thurton had her pocket picked. Muñoz Gonzalez. Nice move on the dribble. Needs some help. Thurton earns the throw. Into the fourth quarter of this match, 22 and a half minutes remaining. USF desperate to get within one. And Kenna Caldwell up to the task there. In net for Texas A&M. It's a great story about Kenna Caldwell and her high school days with the Colorado Rush program. She was the defensive MVP of the team, also the offensive MVP. She would start the game playing up front, would score a goal or two, and then they'd put her back in the net to protect the lead.
Very much a la Tim Howard or Hope Solo, who also both enjoyed playing on the field in high school.
What kind of level of urgency do you want to see from USF in terms of their offensive aggressiveness?
Well, I think it's interesting. They definitely need to be aggressive. They've been effective in moving the ball and getting into the attack. It's really an urgency of getting in the box. They watch Nasello do all this work, and then they're just not getting the runs to get on the end of it. And you know, it was something we mentioned at the beginning of the Central Connecticut State game, and I think we're seeing it again here. There's been tons of opportunities. It's just capitalizing on them in the box. And here's Thurton, not necessarily sure where to go and just kind of clogging up Nasella's lane.
Kitching earns the corner, but you're right. Nasello kind of attracted 3 defenders and really did not have an option.
And that's where Thurton has to do a better job of. If she checks and it's not on, then she's got to spin and get out of that space, maybe draw a defender, but she just sort of floated past Nasello and then didn't really move anywhere, which kept those defenders locked on Nasello.
Nasello throws it in. The wind continues to just wreak havoc on everybody. Kitching, she'd create a chance. Kavanaugh turns it on net, but not much to it. Sample forward for Pounds. And not even bothering to make a run. Oliveri just lets it go. But precious time bleeding off the clock, under 20 minutes remaining. USF undefeated on the season, but in danger of losing for the first time in 523 days. USF won 2 games in the tournament last year, 2019. Beat Florida in Gainesville in the first round, and then took down the Washington Huskies in Tallahassee a week later, before the other team in Tallahassee got the better of them just barely. Mark Krikorian's Seminoles, who are the #1 seed and one of the 3 undefeated teams remaining in this tournament, a group that will drop down to 2 if USF can't score at least twice here in the next 18 minutes. Florida State and Georgetown, Sarah, the 2 undefeated teams, excuse me.
Well, and what I was going to say is what I love about Nacella is if you saw her there, she got the ball and then she was urging Kitching on, go, 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 and then plays her in a great ball, but just too big of a heavy touch, and Kitching couldn't keep that. But I think Nacella is a very smart player. She's very technical. She's got fantastic speed. And I think she'll be a part of a goal if the Bulls are going to pull one out.
Well, if USF cannot get a goal, they'll certainly be kicking themselves, because you think about the 2 A&M goals. One comes off the PK when USF just kind of casually, carelessly turns it over. Again, credit Gixick for the pressure that caused the turnover, but USF gives it away in its own zone. And then just a ball that looked like it was USF's, but Lucy Roberts got beat to the play by Lainey Carroll, who shows off her speed, and a marvelous finish by Oliveri. Martinez had no chance, as we said, in goal.
And you're seeing the adjustments made by South Florida. You've got Wagner, number 15, who's usually playing in the midfield. She's now dropped off. She's actually dropped off a tremendous amount from Oliveri, but looking to get more numbers in the attack.
Kitching beaten to the spot. USF will throw it.
They've gone to a 3-back in order to try and get more numbers up.
Nice maneuver. Muñoz Gonzalez unable to keep it in.
And she's a player who I think was overlooked a little bit in that Central Connecticut State game. Didn't mention her too much, but then really coming out here, and she's the midfield of South Florida, I thought, had done a fantastic job for most of the game, being able to possess, being able to knock the ball around.
You mentioned the change in alignment for USF, going to just 3 backs. With the way we saw Bissett launch one, I mean, I think anything the Bulls can do to get her closer to the net to give her a chance at a strike or two, especially in the next 5-6 minutes. Nacella again looking for support. Finds it with Sabrina Wagner. In the box. No damage done. And back to the midfield for Bissett. Acrobatic move to knock that one back down in the right direction. Game of cat and mouse right now between Sydney Nacella and the A&M defense.
But look how quick she can turn that ball. I mean, that's just a fantastic skill. Once again, simple, but just able to quick change and accelerate.
Running through there. Kavanaugh got a piece of it, but again, not much. Spot in the Sweet 16 on the line. Nasello, shoulder to shoulder, and Katie Smith with some strong defense, but does concede the corner.
Just a good job there of stepping in front and then getting that shoulder and sealing the ball off for Nasello.
Kitching lining up the corner for the Bulls. Starting to feel like desperation time, trailing by 2 with 13.5 to play. Cross in front, headed by Sample. Bissett in there, but Kate Colvin blasts it to the sideline.
And we saw Rosalie Moño Gonzalez sub out, and Fanny Pelletier LaRoche come in, who's got a goal and 2 assists on the season.
Free kick's going to be awarded here to the Bulls. About 20, 23 yards from the end line.
And it's going with the wind, so it's going to take off.
Nasello. Caldwell, no problem at all.
Not a bad idea, but just didn't hit it enough. She was trying to kind of drive it in the middle. I mean, one of the things you like to do sometimes, if you can put it in that kind of middle range, maybe it knocks off of a defender coming in or something, but just not a great strike given the need at this time.
As she was lining that up, I kind of wanted her to put it on frame just to force Caldwell to try to make a save with the wind. Maybe you get a rebound, a deflection, something.
Yeah, I think once again, she had the wind with her, so it was definitely going to take off, and I guess maybe that's why she was putting it in the middle. But here we see the Aggies. Zemer.
Didn't get much on the left-footed shot. Martinez scoops it up. And not really seeing a huge sense of urgency here by the Bulls.
Yeah, I mean, once again, they're a little bit, the wind's coming across the field, so it's not that Martinez is going against it, and given the struggle a little bit the Bulls have had with their back line, you think they might try and play that.
Kitching's going to track this one down. Cross was blocked. Turned out to be a pretty good play there by Geksick. And time continues to whittle off the clock. Not a bad effort there by Zemer. Control it, get a shot on frame. And they got the foul on Jai Smith from behind. Cheyenne Dennis. Nope, that's not what she was looking for.
Yeah, good defender, but we've seen just not necessarily comfortable on the ball, connecting anything kind of outside of 10, 15 yards, right? She sort of hesitates, not quite as polished right now.
Larson back to Bissett, trying to send Kitching, who's really worked hard. Kitching gets it in quick. Larson. Under 10 minutes remaining in this round of 32 match. Winner to the Sweet 16. Larson's cross. Oh, it was a good one, but Kavanaugh was off balance to try and receive it.
And Lieblich was out wide, but just didn't react to run onto that. Got there a little bit late. Less than 10 minutes left in this half. USF has possession, but there has to be a little more urgency in getting that ball into the box. And as we're looking at the score of this game, with the Aggies up 2-0. We're also seeing what could possibly be a massive upset with Iowa up 1-0 over UCLA. Amanda Cromwell's Bruins.
Iowa team that was 6-8-1 entering the tournament. UCLA 12-1-2. I always say, whenever you play soccer in April, anything can happen. Oh, that's usually November. Pounds trying to feed it through for Zemer.
Martinez very high off her line there.
Yeah. And this will be a corner kick. Well played by Lainey Carroll. So seconds preciously continue to tick away for USF. Under 8 minutes. A&M corner kick. Kitching will intercept that, but well overshoot Nasello, who's clearly getting frustrated for South Florida. I mean, when you work as hard as she has and things just aren't going your way, it wears on you, doesn't it?
Definitely. And you've got to look at
another good ball. The speedy Lainey Carroll.
You've got to look at what
nice
is
move.
She going to do here, and she's going to go to goal.
Carroll crosses.
And Zemer's recycling her run, gets it up top, but same thing, kind of on her setting back. You saw her get in, and then she was doing a good job of trying to recycle, but still caught off guard there.
Nasello has really no help with her, so she's going to try to go 1-on-3. We've seen her do it before. Nasello finally with some support, one-touch shot. Not on frame, it had no chance. Larson just could not give herself a chance.
No, just caught putting that ball, leaning back and just putting that ball way over the crossbar there. Well, what a turn of events. We were watching the first half thinking that South Florida Bulls were taking it to the Aggies and were just knocking on the door, and then a fortuitous ball in and a foul, and the game has changed. And as we say that, Iowa has now, or UCLA has now tied the game versus Iowa, and it's 1-1 with less than 5 minutes in that game as well.
Huge goal for the Bruins late in that one. Header toward the net, but easy a save that Kenna Caldwell can make all day. Other seeds in UCLA's part of the bracket include the 6th seed Arkansas, the 11th seed Santa Clara, the 14th seed Clemson, who would all raise their eyebrows a little bit if the Bruins got knocked off, see an opportunity open for them.
Well, Colby Hale has just done an amazing job at Arkansas. He actually, I think, may have been Amanda Cromwell's assistant at one point down in Florida, and he's just really turned that Arkansas team around. And then, of course, Eddie Radwanski at Clemson has done a terrific job, but he's going to have a battle versus Rutgers with Mike O'Neill. Rutgers is a team that bowed out early in the season in the NCAA tournament last year, I think, to Central Connecticut State. But they have a good squad, and it's well coached by Mike O'Neill and his staff. Mike O'Neill being best friends with Rob McCourt, who the Monmouth Hawks advanced
I knew
to the
we'd get a
second
Scarlet
round.
Knight shout out from you at some point. Good for one of those to show. Pretty good ball here, but unable to do anything with it, and we go under 4 minutes.
And what's interesting, we see that Nasello has really been more on this right side, whereas earlier in the match she was on the left side working with Lieblich, and I think that was part of their effectiveness, was the two of them being able to create, 2v1s on the outside. And so interesting that we're seeing her more on this side and not necessarily working as well with the back for USF, but in these final minutes, USF pushing everybody forward and completely changed their formation.
Kenna Caldwell. Sophomore goalkeeper from Lone Tree, Colorado. Which isn't the only town named Lone Tree in the country. I think there's a Lone Tree, Iowa as well.
I was thinking of Back to the Future, but it was what, Twin Pines and then Lone Pines Mall.
The Twin Pines Mall. Caldwell blasts that one out of trouble. Great Scott. The Bulls are running out of time. 2.5 minutes. And they do not have a flux capacitor to add more time.
Flex capacitor. Flexing. The Aggies flexing a little bit of their muscle here.
Well, the round of 16 is scheduled to start on May 15th. Who knew that the Back to the Future would end Sari Rose and your reaction would end me? A&M going to get the winner of South Alabama and Oklahoma State, who we'll see here. Well, hopefully we'll have regained our composure by 7 o'clock tonight for the Cowgirls and the Jaguars. South Alabama, an impressive performance on Tuesday night against the Colorado Buffaloes, and they'll try to do it against the top 10 seed from Oklahoma State.
And there was a little bit of a, once again, debate on whether that was a bigger upset of South Alabama over Colorado or if Utah Valley over Memphis was a bigger upset. And, if you watch the Colorado-South Alabama game, you would, of course, know that South Alabama dominated most of that match and did not necessarily show to be the underdogs at all.
And they certainly believe that they can perform similarly against the women from Stillwater. A little physicality late here. Bissett tries to restart quickly. Kitching rejected. Kitching gets it off this time. But Texas A&M closing in on the clean sheet. The Aggies in their familiar spot. Different time in the calendar, but when the NCAA women's soccer tournament's going on, the Texas A&M Aggies are going to be doing some damage. They shut out South Florida 2-0 behind 2 second-half goals from Barbara Oliveri. The leading scorer with her 7th and 8th of the season. USF suffers defeat for the first time in 2020. And A&M on to the Sweet 16.
Well, I think once again we saw here USF had the better of the play in the first half, but the Aggies came out and they capitalized on their opportunities. And I think that was the biggest thing we saw is Bulls had a number of chances, could not get on the end of the pass in the final third, but the Aggies did. They got in, they got a fortuitous PK, and then were able to use Lainey Carroll's speed to get that ball across to Oliveri for a sitter. And we see the Aggies being able to take this game 2-0 over a very good South Florida Bulls squad.
The turnover that led to the first PK. Gixick goes down. Oliveri with a high heat. And then later on, Lainey Carroll's
and you gotta love
incredible
that
speed.
You gotta love that Barbara Oliveri is the hero of this match. She was going to A&M camp since she was 10 years old, committed to them when she was a freshman in high school, and here she is, the hero of their first game in the NCAA tournament.
Yep, so Texas A&M on to the Sweet 16. That game scheduled for next week in Cary, North Carolina. Congratulations to Coach Guerrieri, and the Texas A&M Aggies as their 26th straight trip to the tournament will not be one and done. And congratulations to Coach Denise Schulte-Brown on a great season as well. Her 14th year at the helm, finishes 10-1-2. Not bad to lose one of 13 matches, and they fall to a top 10 seed, the 7th ranked Aggies from College Station. That'll do it for us. On behalf of our entire crew and for my partner, Sari Rose, I'm Evan Lepler. Don't forget, 7 o'clock tonight from Bryant Park. Texas A&M will be watching because they get the winner of the South Alabama Jaguars and the Oklahoma State Cowgirls. We'll talk to you then, but for now, good afternoon from Greensboro.